What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone Podcast. I am Farzin Vasugian here on a Monday night, right before Monday Night Football. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. A lot to get into here as we are trying to get settled and comfy here. A lot of reactions to the last 24 hours. A lot of reactions. It's been 24 hours since the Chiefs lost to the Denver Broncos, and there are all kinds of reactions to this right now. And I do want to hear from you guys in the comments later on. Obviously, we'll touch a little bit on the Denver game, but I think, it's not just the Denver game at this point. There is a valid concern about who this team is. Prior to losing to Buffalo, prior to this 2-game losing streak the Chiefs are on right now, the Chiefs were viewed as the scariest team in the NFL by many experts out there. And now the Chiefs, they're not viewed that way. They won 5 of 6 at one point. Now they're in this weird funk right now where people are truly questioning if the Chiefs will make it to the playoffs this year. So we'll touch on that. And Andy Reid had some very interesting comments in today's press conference regarding the commitment or lack thereof to the run game. It's not being perceived real well. It's not being perceived real well at all. A lot to get into here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Appreciate you guys joining me. I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. If you want to go to Arrowhead this Sunday and prevent a potential blew out in the stands there, as excited as Indy fans might be, I worry there might be some of that. So if you want to help prevent some of that, get your Chiefs tickets at SeatGeek. Not just Chiefs tickets, though. We've got college football, the season starting to wind down real soon. We've got college basketball underway, the NBA, NHL seasons. They've been going on for a couple of weeks now. And if you want to catch any of the action in person, go to SeatGeek.com and get your tickets there. And at checkout, new customers can enter my promo code Farzine, and you'll save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, get your tickets, and at checkout, new customers can enter my promo code Farzine and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. All right. We've got a lot to get into here today. Okay, so I've got a question to start off because we've got enough people in the chat right now. So here's a question for you guys. I want to hear from you guys first before I dive in and give my thoughts on anything. It's been 24 hours since the loss. How do you feel? Do you feel any better? Do you feel worse? Do you feel the same? How do you all feel right now? Because I do believe that instant reactions, everyone can be a prisoner of the moment, me included. And I think sometimes, you just need a moment to let things marinate, just kind of think things out. And now you have that opportunity. And I want to know how you guys are feeling. You guys have had a chance to sleep on it, go to work, talk to your buddies, discuss it, vent, whatever you needed to do. And I think now is a proper time to kind of get a pulse from good old Chiefs Kingdom here. And I really want to know how you guys are feeling. So far, the comments are negative. Gus Bus on Instagram says worse, but almost numb from all these losses. Yeah, there have been plenty of them. Let's see. Jason says my foot hurts. Sorry to hear that. Paul says like poop emoji. Demetrio on YouTube says still mad for sure. Melissa says no playoffs this year. Our season is over. Terrible. Mahomes legit looks wrecked. I feel like they better get with it already. Annoyed. Not great. I'm a Chief through and through. This team isn't playing hungry. Brutal day at work. Grimy says, we're dead. Elena says, I accepted the fact that winning is fleeting. We're just not used to losing. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen that. I was listening to Nick Wright today, who got trolled. Oh, he got trolled today on First Things First. And he mentioned, as Chiefs fans, we have not spent a lot of time in the last 7, 8 years looking at the playoff picture in depth. I mean, we really haven't. Yeah, there have been a couple of times, we need this team to lose so we can get the 1 seed. That's all Chiefs fans have had to worry about, with the exception of 2023 when the Chiefs had to settle for a 3 seed. But right now, I'm just looking at this Kansas City team. See, I see your comment, Josh. 5-5, we can run the table. All losses are 1 score. Yes, every loss has been a 1-score game. And a lot of these games, when you look at that come down to a possession, you look back and see, okay, if 1 or 2 things, maybe 3 things, if they all went differently, then sure, you could have came out on the opposite side of that outcome. But that's not the way it works. We can sit here and talk about what they could have done, but what matters is what did happen. And what's happened is Kansas City is 0-5 in these 1-score games. Because if you lose a 1-score game in the playoffs, it's not, it was close. It's, listen, you're done. And I'll say this, because I've been listening to a lot of reactions today. To my surprise, it feels like, and this is me guesstimating, I hate that word and I just used it. This is me just, kind of giving an estimate guess as to what the number feels like, just from my perception, social media, and I'm including fans and the media, combined, local and national media, people calling into radio shows and whatnot. It sounds like 75 to 80% of people, whether Chiefs fans or not, local media, national media, whoever, it feels like a majority still believe the Chiefs will make the playoffs, but no one's committing on how far they think the Chiefs can go. There is a thought and a belief that if the Chiefs get to the playoffs, they might be that dangerous team that people want to play. And then next thing you know, it's going to turn into, hey, careful what you wish for. Kind of like 2023, when everyone thought the Chiefs were vulnerable that year. The Chiefs were supposed to be one and done that year. Remember that? I think that that was certainly something that maybe looks like it could be the case right now. When do these podcasts start? Mondays at 6, Wednesdays at 7. Now, I will say this. The next 2 Wednesdays, meaning this Wednesday and next Wednesday, we will not be doing a Wednesday podcast. It'll be Tuesday instead. And tomorrow's podcast, I don't know what time it's going to be. I really have no idea. So I know a lot of you guys are asking when these podcasts go live because a lot of you guys miss them. Here's, by the way, somebody was asking this last night on the podcast. There's a really interesting comment I do want to address from a Broncos fan here. So, by the way, to address the other comment, if you guys, Facebook does not notify you on your phone, here's what you guys can do. You guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thechiefzone, or just search the Chief Zone on YouTube. Click subscribe and then click the bell notification. You'll get notified through YouTube. Now, if you prefer not to watch through YouTube, fine. You can watch through X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. If YouTube is not your preferred platform, you can at least still be notified through YouTube. So that's one way to do it. I believe Instagram does notify you as well if you turn on the bell there. So just a little heads up there. Now, this comment I do want to read real quickly. This is from Christian. As a Broncos fan, you guys need to run the ball. Y'all looked good when running the ball. Even opposing fans are saying run the damn ball. Listen, I said this yesterday, and it was still met with some pushback. Rex Ryan, the day after the Bills game, he said he picked the Chiefs. He picked the Bills because he knew the Chiefs do not run the ball. Even though the Buffalo was ranked 31st in stopping the run and were without Ed Oliver for that game, he still picked Buffalo because he knew Kansas City would not run the ball. And I've seen people say, oh, well, what has Rex Ryan accomplished? Rex is mad because Andy Reid hired Spags instead of Ryan. Dude, none of that matters. Like, if Rex Ryan's the Chiefs hater, fine, that's one thing. Rex Ryan was not incorrect. He was absolutely right, whether you like it or not. I think we've got to start accepting these comments that are coming out by some people nationally, because a lot of people don't like to hear these negative comments, but they're true. They're absolutely true. And then what happened in that Buffalo game? Maxwell Hairston, after the game, which I don't know why he said it, because of the possible chance the two teams might meet again, which seems very slim at this point. But you never know. The football gods can always work their magic, right? Maxwell Harrison was like, yeah, they're basically predictable. We saw everything they did on film, and they tried to do it against us. That's what good teams do. That's what good coaches do. Good coaches will study the game film in depth, and they'll show it to their players and let them know what they need to prepare for. And that's exactly what Maxwell Harrison did. And then in the halftime interview coming out of the locker room, Tracy Wolfson is talking to Sean Payton, and Sean Payton just straight up tells Tracy Wolfson that the Chiefs are not a second half team. You literally have opponents telling you what you are. Listen, I was surprised Sean Payton even said that. I think because I listen, I appreciate Maxwell Hairston and Sean Payton saying those things, because there is no way in hell Andy Reid can deny it all he wants and say that, I didn't hear any of it. People hear it. Andy Reid may not be on social media. You know who is on social media? All of his players. They absolutely are aware. The Hunt family is on social media. A lot of, Chiefs employees involved with the organization, they're on social media. Like, everyone is very well aware of Maxwell Hairston and Sean Payton's comments about the Chiefs. And as a Chiefs fan, I appreciate those guys saying that, because now I'm hoping that's going to be that big wake-up call knocking on Andy Reid's door, like, hey, you got to maybe change things up a little bit here, because your opponents know what's coming. I was listening to Damian Woody on Get Up this morning on ESPN, and he said that, because of what happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and the way they've played in some of these games, not winning these one-score games like they were a year ago, that the Chiefs are not feared. I agree with that to an extent. I mean, listen, I truly feel the Chiefs are just beating themselves. And look, I'm not saying that to take credit away from teams that have won all these one-score games against Kansas City. Not at all. Listen, the Chiefs, they won a lot of games down the stretch. They were 12-0 last year in one-score games. Some of it, they had luck on their side in the form of opposing teams shooting themselves in the foot, such as, the Raiders in that fumble, the Broncos when Alex Forsyth just let Leo Chenal through. You can't ever apologize for that. I mean, that's what teams are supposed to do. A lot of times when you see a quarterback throw a deep pass touchdown to his receiver, it's because someone in the secondary just completely had a big mishap. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to capitalize on those things. And teams like the Broncos, the Eagles, the Jaguars, they've capitalized on the couple key mistakes in crucial moments that the Chiefs have made. And no one should ever have to apologize for that. Look, I said this last night, and I had it in a reel and in my YouTube video today. It's the Chiefs going on a surge. It's doable. They've got to make some adjustments here and there. But there needs to be some consistency. There needs to be a killer instinct. There needs to be some tenacity from this team. And I think Chiefs fans over the last 24 hours, they've been saying things that a lot of Chiefs fans have not wanted to say out loud for a very long time. One of them is Patrick Mahomes not connecting on these deep balls here. on Kansas City's opening drive of the game. It was the second drive of the game. For Casey's first possession, Xavier Worthy down the field, wide open. Travis Kelce was also wide open on that play, but he went to Worthy because that would have been an easy touchdown play right there. And then 2 plays later, Tyquan Thornton, he's out there torching defenders like he has all year long, and overthrows him. And it's not just the Denver game. This has been going on all season. Like, this is Control C, Control V right now for the Kansas City Chiefs offensively. Listen, I know we can sit here and spend a lot of time talking about Denver because they played a great game. It wasn't perfect, and I think that offense still has a lot of things to work on, but did Bo Nix not step up when he needed to? Absolutely, he did. And I know the fear from the Denver side of things was, hey, this offense is way too inconsistent. Now, to go back to the Chiefs, and I mentioned Tyquan Thornton a moment ago. Tyquan Thornton is leading the NFL in a very big category. Here it is. Let me fix that real quickly. Oh, there it is. You guys see it. Tyquan Thornton is leading the NFL in yards per catch with almost 25 yards per reception. If you take all of the players who are in the top 100 in receiving yards, Tyquan Thornton has a better yards per catch average than anyone else. Think about that for a moment. You have easily, I wouldn't say Tyquan Thornton is maybe the best football player, best wide receiver on the team. Maybe someone would say that, but he is certainly your most effective wide receiver. I think that is fair to say. If you're wondering who's second on this list, it's Alec Pierce of the Indianapolis Colts, who the Chiefs will see this week. He's averaging 20.9 yards per catch, but there's a difference. Alec Pierce has 28 catches. Tyquan Thornton only has 15. Pierce has been targeted 52 times. Thornton has been targeted 30 times. Listen, Tyquan Thornton has way too much talent. For a guy that's averaging almost 25 yards a catch, this guy has way too much talent to not get more targets. I looked before the podcast. The number of snaps he played, 16. Almost 23% of the snaps. Last week it was, so to be specific, 22.9% of the snaps. Last week it was 23.3% of the snaps, but 2 snaps less because the Chiefs had more offensive plays against Denver than they did against Buffalo. So bottom line is Tyquan Thornton is not getting a lot of snaps. Ever since Xavier Worthy returned in that Baltimore game, Tyquan Thornton, he had played at least 72% of the snaps each of the first 3 games. And since then, he has not played more than 46%. And to be quite honest with you, Tyquan Thornton should be playing more than Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown right now. There is zero logic in Thornton getting less playing time than Worthy and Hollywood. Because if you look at Kansas City's receiving numbers right now, Travis Kelce's having a good season. He is. He's averaging 12.6 yards a catch. Way better than what it was last year, which was 8.5 yards. That was the lowest of his career. So Kelce's leading the team in receiving yards with 631. Hollywood Brown is next on the list with 429. Who's next? Surprise, it's Tyquan Thornton with 372. Here's a crazy thing. Juju Smith-Schuster has more receptions than Tyquan Thornton, but Thornton has about 80 more receiving yards, almost, give or take. I'm doing the math off the top of my head, just looking at the numbers. So, what is What are the Chiefs doing here? Because it's not just Tyquan Thornton. It's also Kareem Hunt. And I've got to play this clip for you guys because this was very concerning. So Andy Reid did his press conference through Zoom, which he does each and every single Monday, assuming the Chiefs don't play on Monday. And the topic about the runs came up and the lack of commitment to the runs. Andy Reid had a very interesting comment regarding the run plays that are being called. Listen to this.
Calling quite a few of the RPOs. So yesterday they were giving us opportunities to throw the football. So we utilized the opportunities there. And those things end up being as good as a run for you. We're getting 4+ yards and you go with it. And but the runs are being called. It's just, sometimes they get turned into passes in today's world.
The runs are being called, but they turn into passes. Now he's definitely referring to RPOs there, but still. Listen, I heard that. I was like, that's interesting. And I looked at social, and I did not see it this way. But I'm looking at a lot of the reactions on Twitter, and a lot of people are saying that he just threw Patrick Mahomes under the bus there. I did not view it that way. I can understand how it's being perceived that way. But that was not. Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying the same thing in the comments. Listen, we don't know what the calls are specifically, what's being said in the huddle, and specifically at the line of scrimmage when they're, using their own communication method, what exactly is being called, what audibles are made. We don't know none of that. Now, on RPO situations, those are pretty obvious to tell. Tony Romo pointed out a couple of those last night. Here's my thing. Like Kansas City, let's just be completely honest here. Kansas City's complicating things right now. They're really complicating things. If you look at a couple of these games here, and I commented with this to somebody on Facebook. I don't think I have the post there, so I'm not going to waste time looking that up and trying to get the picture up here. But here's the thing. In the Buffalo game, right before halftime, Hollywood Brown has that big catch right in front of the end zone. So what do the Chiefs do? They have Kareem Hunt lined up in shotgun next to Kareem Hunt, which, by the way, Mahomes not being under center, I don't know what's going on there. But Kareem Hunt's lined up next to Mahomes, and then they've got trips left where you've got the wide receiver trio, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, the trio that was supposed to dominate and had been advertised for more than a year. Meanwhile, Buffalo, they've got all the muscle up front on that defensive line, and they were all over Kareem Hunt on that play because there wasn't enough personnel to help block for Kareem Hunt on a run play there. So the Chiefs have to burn a timeout. They can't call another run play because if Kareem Hunt were to get stuffed again, then you basically don't even get points in that situation. So the Chiefs have to call, I think, a pass play or two. I remember there was one to Kelsey they tried to get it to, and they were unable to connect there, but they weren't able to get it in on a short yardage situation there. In this game against the Broncos, right before halftime, deep in their own territory, but still, you could have, it was a little risky because they had to punt from their own end zone at one point. The Chiefs on 3rd and 1 don't even want to run it. Kareem Hunt's not even on the field. Rashee Rice is doing his thing, running around to the backfield, lining up as a running back, which he's done a little bit this year since his return. Chiefs go play action to him. Rice was open for a split second in front of Mahomes, but Mahomes panicked because of the pass rush coming in, which you knew Denver was going to do that in this game because I've said this many times. Denver has the best defense in the NFL. I know a lot of people may not think highly of their secondary. And listen, I think the Chiefs exploited some of the weaknesses they have there without Pat Surtain in this game. But as long as you still have a good defensive front, I think the rest of the defense will take care of itself. Like, I would rather have an elite defensive front than an elite secondary. A great secondary is good and all, but it won't mean much if you don't have a pass rush up front. And what do the Chiefs do on 3rd and 2 later in the game? By the way, the Chiefs are up 19-16. Travis Kelce scored. He broke the franchise record, most touchdown scores in Chiefs history in the regular season, surpassing Priest Holmes. So the Chiefs were able to force a punt. And the Chiefs have the ball with, 7 minutes left? And I'm thinking, boy, Kansas City can make a statement right now against the best defense in the NFL. And the Chiefs just neglected running the football. On 3rd and 2 with 6:48 to go, no Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith moves in motion, and Denver just leaves the middle of that defensive line. Denver has a very light box stacked again. Denver is begging the Chiefs to run the ball. And with if you had Kareem Hunt in the backfield, but with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, they can get a little bit of a push there, even against that good of a defensive line. But no, the Chiefs said, we're just going to throw it. It's going to be the worst throw ever, which, listen, Mahomes does deserve some criticism for how bad of a throw that was. But ever since the Chiefs took the lead, what happened? The Broncos got the ball. They punted it back to Kansas City. The Chiefs never picked up a first down the rest of the game. How do you do that when you're up 19-16? I don't care if it was on the road. I mean, you're literally leading in that situation. And we've seen this with the Chiefs. Remember in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals, the bad one, when Patrick Mahomes, well, first of all, when it went into overtime, the Chiefs, they're panicking the way they played on the opening series of the game, opening series of overtime. The way the Chiefs were operating, they were acting like they were down by 8 points with less than 15 seconds to go, and they were in a hurry to get something deep down the field, which ended up getting intercepted. And it was, a very tough catch attempt by Tyreek Hill. That ended up being the last time we saw Tyreek Hill play a snap for the Chiefs. So the Chiefs just tend to do these weird things where they're either up or they're tied, but they make it look like they're trailing by 8 points or 2 possessions, and they don't even they look like they look like Butters from South Park. They're panicking. They don't know what to do. That's how bad this offense looks at times. This offense has way too much talent to look like that. Because here's the thing. If you make it to the playoffs, Denver has the 1 seed right now. If Denver does not get the 1 seed, they're definitely getting the 2 seed. There's a very good chance you play Denver for a 3rd time. By the way, Nick Wright made a very interesting comment today. And I know what comments are going to come up here. So who plays in week 18 in the AFC West? The Chiefs visit the Raiders. That one, there's no fear whatsoever. The Chiefs are winning that game. I mean, if the Chiefs lose that game, they will get what they deserve by missing the playoffs. Now, the Chargers play the Broncos. Nick Wright made a very interesting comment. I don't agree with him on this. He mentioned that Denver could potentially be playing for a 1 seed in week 18. And at the same time, the Broncos might be your most, possibly your second favorite team of the day, because one of the wild card spots could come down between Kansas City and the Chargers. But Nick Wright made a very odd comment. He said, what if Denver chose to screw Kansas City out of it and not let them in? I don't think Denver would do that. Now, if Denver has the 1 seed locked up, they're going to do exactly what the Chiefs did when they played the Broncos, which is put in all their backups. And I know Bengals fans did not appreciate that, but let's be honest, you're not obligated to help any other team out. I mean, you are right now hoping Denver drops a couple of games. That way they have something to play for in week 18. because at least then they will have their starters against the Chargers. See, this is the problem with the Chiefs right now, is they've had to rely on the Raiders 2 games in a row against the Jaguars and against the Broncos. Oddly enough, because the Chiefs lost, it would have been more helpful if the Chargers won. Now you're looking down the road hoping Denver wins in week 18. The Chiefs, this has been a really long time since we've been able to say this. The Chiefs are having to root for division rivals now to help them just get a playoff spot. And Kansas City's got no one to blame but themselves on this one. Listen, the neglecting the usage of Kareem Hunt, Tyquan Thornton, you're just hurting yourselves doing this. And I've gotten some pushback on this, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, but that's because Andy Reid is holding back and he wants to save the good stuff for later. Look, the playoffs for Kansas City begin now. Literally, the Chiefs' playoffs, their postseason starts today. So now is the time to put your good stuff on the field. This is not the time to ever hold back. I don't think Andy Reid would do that, but there's a belief out there that Andy Reid does that with this offense. I do agree that Andy Reid doesn't like to put the pedal to the metal and run up the score. I mean, for crying out loud, did you see that Raiders game? The Chiefs-Raiders game? Andy Reid was QB kneeling. Well, not Andy Reid, but Gardner Minshew, QB kneeling before the 2-minute warning. When have you ever seen an NFL offense line up in victory formation before the 2-minute warning? Like, that has literally never happened. I just think at the end of the day, like with Kansas City and the way they're playing, they've just got to make some small adjustments. I will say this. When you look at the defensive side of the football, and I know we have not focused on that too much, I don't think there's too much to fix. Now, yes, those 3rd and long plays that the Chiefs are allowing opposing teams to convert on, especially a team like the Broncos that have been inconsistent on offense, that needs to get cleaned up. I remember 2 years ago, it was damn near impossible for teams to convert on 3rd and long against Kansas City when it was a 1-possession game. I do remember 2 years ago, I know Jake Browning on 4th and very long, he converted on a play. That was on a 3rd down technically, but there weren't a lot of people that were able to do that against Kansas City 2 years ago. Now, I will say this to go back to the offensive side. And I called for this. A lot of you guys have called for this. And I think it is time to bench Jawaan Taylor. There's literally no reason for Jawaan Taylor to be a starting right tackle in the NFL ever again. Now, does he have some good moments as a pass blocker? Yes. But boy, he commits way too many penalties. Listen, there was a little 3-4 game stretch where Jawaan Taylor was looking really. Jawaan Taylor actually looked like an all-pro at one point this year, not just for one game. I mean, this was going on for 3 to 4 weeks. Jawaan Taylor was playing at a very high level, was lining up correctly, wasn't committing penalties. We never heard his name from the referees. But then that changed in the last couple of games against Buffalo and again against Denver. And here's the thing. It's not just the amount of penalties he's committing. He's committing these penalties at the most inconvenient time. Not that there's ever a convenient time to have penalties go against you, but like that really awful pass that Mahomes threw targeting Elijah Mitchell, who has not even touched the ball all year. Not that it matters. I mean, if Mahomes could have got it to him a half second quicker and would have at least thrown the ball a little bit better, I don't think that would get intercepted. Would it have been caught in the end zone? I don't know. There was another Broncos defender in the secondary that was closing in real fast on Mitchell. But my whole thing is this. Jawaan Taylor, not only the volume of penalties, the timing of them. Because Kareem Hunt On the play where Taylor was lined up illegally, Kareem Hunt caught a pass and made it to the 2-yard line. And listen, when it's first and goal from the 2, you've got that's 4 down territory right there. On the road against a great defense, they're going to run it with Kareem Hunt probably 3 of those 4 times. Maybe they'll try to go play action and throw off the Broncos defense at one of those downs, but I think with Kareem Hunt, you at least get it in. And what happened? Juwan Taylor lined up illegally. 3 plays later, Patrick Mahomes throws a very costly interception. One that was probably the difference maker in this game, the biggest difference maker. Yeah, a lot of people are bringing this up. It's just, what are the stats on 74? What's up, Beskar? I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I do know he has the most penalties since he's become a Chief in 2023. And listen, it was a little weird because the way he would jump the snap count, I mean, we've seen other offensive tackles do it. Juwan Taylor, in terms of his timing on the snap, he did the exact same thing in that preseason in 2023. Nobody said a word. He did the same thing in Jacksonville. No one said a word then. But the whole thing just not lining up correctly with the belt. Here's my thing. That is a very fixable thing, is it not? Like, if someone's a bad pass blocker, they're just a bad pass blocker. If someone's not lining up correctly, that can easily be fixed. This is not, 1, 2, 3 games. This is 3 years of not lining up correctly. Look, you signed Jalen Moore to a 2-year deal worth $30 million. I think it's time to move on with Juwan Taylor. And listen, I know coaches don't sign players to contracts, but I think part of it is, hey, listen, we drafted this guy in the first round, or we're paying this guy, 20-some million dollars. It's because of the contract. I think he's the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL right now. I'll check on that just to be sure, but I know the Chiefs do. The Chiefs rank number 1 in total contracts at the offensive line position, which is not very good. Let's see, just for 2025. I'm having a hard time pulling this up on Spot Track, but surprisingly, Juwan Taylor is not listed on here. He listen, he's making a lot of money this season. Now, the Chiefs can get out of that contract. Yeah, he's got to be in the top 5. Unless I'm not putting the correct number here. I don't know why Spot Track's not showing the correct numbers here. But Juwan Taylor is getting a lot of money. He's getting paid way too much to make these kinds of errors here. Okay, his cap hit for this year is $27 million. Yeah. I mean, how many players are making more than $27 million this season? Let me look at that for the offensive line quickly. Yeah, it's Juwan Taylor. Juwan Taylor is number 1 in that category. For those wondering, it goes Juwan Taylor, number 1, Brian O'Neill, the right tackle for the Vikings. Right tackles are getting paid a lot of money. Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle for the Broncos. Taylor Moton, the right tackle for the Panthers. Then it's Taylor Decker, the left tackle of the Lions. Quentin Nelson, Robert Hunt, Trent Williams, Mike Onwenu, Colton Miller, Lane Johnson. Oh, you got the idea. Just to give you guys a little sample there. Juwan Taylor is the highest paid offensive lineman this year. So you're paying this guy all this money and he's costing you field position, essentially field position. Whatever, when you get to first and goal from the 2, well, it gets called back and it becomes first and 14, then second and 14, third and 14, because your entire offensive game plan for that series or those set of downs, that will change a lot. Oh, listen, I don't have an issue with the officiating. And even when officiating is wrong, you guys know me. I'm not a big fan of criticizing officiating, or at least saying that they're the reason. And I'm not saying you guys are saying that. Look, officiating has always been bad. I know people love to make a big deal about how it favors Kansas City. Even at 5-5, the refs are still in the Chiefs' pockets, which is very interesting to me. But great teams find a way to overcome those things. Kansas City's done that for a long time. Listen, I know a lot of people love to point out what plays go in favor of the Chiefs, but we've also seen, some bad calls go against the Chiefs in recent years also, but no one wants to ever touch on that. But neither here nor there. You've got to find a way to overcome that. Kansas City was up 19-16. And if Kansas City just ran the football and ran out the clock and played keep away from Denver, we'd be talking about, that was a gutsy, low-scoring win for the Chiefs. That's not what happened. We need full-time NFL refs. I see a lot of people say this. Let me just do a little Google search. How much do NFL refs make? According to Sports Illustrated on October the 8th of this year, the average referee salary sits at $205,000. Those with 10 plus years of experience can earn $250,000 per season. Yeah, I don't know if making them quote unquote full time would change anything. Yes, these guys do have full-time jobs doing other things, but let's say you make them full-time, what changes? Because even if these guys did not work the jobs, listen, making $250 a year just for officiating a few games and, checking in with the NFL every so often, whenever they're called, that's a pretty good paying job. That's a pretty damn good paying job. Part-time job. Because as you said, Robert, they're not full-time. I don't know what would change if they were full-time. I really don't. Diego says, what are we going to do? I don't know. Do I think they can make it to the Super Bowl? No, I don't. I don't. If they have to visit Buffalo, I just feel like Buffalo's got way too much firepower. I think if the Chiefs and the Bills, which they would be wildcard teams, more likely than not, but if somehow those two teams met in the playoffs, I just think Buffalo has way too much firepower. If the Chiefs go visit the Broncos again, listen, Kansas City had the Broncos backed up against a wall at one point, up 19-16, but they could not pick up a first down. That was the issue in the fourth quarter. In the second half of the fourth quarter, to be specific. And I've been saying this all year long, and I know it hasn't happened yet, but I keep saying, I think that Denver offense is gonna get it together. I really do. They haven't yet. But I listen, I was a big fan of Bo Nix last year. I think, if I had to vote for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I would have given it to Brock Bowers. The fact that he was statistically the best tight end with absolutely no viable QB play, that was pretty damn impressive. Bo Nix, listen, I don't think there was that big of a gap between Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. I just think Jaden Daniels did some really big things in big moments last year, and that's what gave him the edge for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I know Bo Nix has taken a step back this year, but I'll stick to my prediction that they'll get it together. There's no way they make it. Their offensive scheme is too easy to play against. Listen, I'm not going to argue that point of thought there, but I just feel like with simple play calling, don't even call RPOs, just call straight up runs. Go out there and run the damn ball. Because if you run the ball on 3rd and short in the fourth quarter, this is going to be a whole different discussion. Because we'll be sitting here talking about how the Chiefs had another gutsy win. or their first gutsy win of the year. They've had a lot of them over the 7 years, but you know what I mean. Kyle says, I just think we got to stop throwing dink and dunk passes, like hiking it and throwing an out route. Got to be more creative. Listen, I don't think there's an issue with that. I mentioned last week, if you were going to do the dink and dunk against Denver, that could have worked. And I think Kansas City was using some of that, but Kansas City just, here's my thing. And this is a very scary thing to say on November the 17th. Kansas City's offense does not have an identity right now. Your most effective player on offense, Tyquan Thornton, is barely getting used. And I keep bringing this up every week. At some point, just put your best players out there. And look, I said this last night. Kareem Hunt, he's not Saquon Barkley. He's not Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor or James Cook or any of these other top tier running backs. And that's okay. When you have Patrick Mahomes and all the speed around you, it's okay for the running game to not be as great as what you have on other teams. Is that preferred? Of course not. You would love to have top tier talent at all 11 positions on the offensive side of the ball. And that's why, there are some people out there calling for the Chiefs to draft Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. But here's my thing. I said in the offseason, this could probably be a running back group that's going to be running back by committee. And it kind of has been. I know Pacheco's been out for a couple of games, so it's now been Kareem Hunt's show because no other running back got a handoff in this one. Just Kareem Hunt. Elijah Mitchell and Brashard Smith played, but they didn't get any handoffs in this one. A lot of you guys are saying run the ball. Some of you guys even in capital letters saying run. Samuel on YouTube says no one is afraid of the Chiefs running the ball because they know they won't stick with it. Yeah, that is 100% true. And look, here's my biggest frustration. Because here's my thing. I've always believed that as a fan, be a little watchful of your criticism. Because if you can't teach it, if you've never been in that position, you got to watch some of the criticism. However, Rex Ryan, a guy who's sitting on a chair in front of a camera for a living now, he's pointed it out. Everyone else is pointing it out. It doesn't matter if you're a fan, a podcaster, a member of the media. Everyone is pointing out that the Chiefs' lack of commitment to the run is what's hurting them right now. So my question is this, because Andy Reid, who's no dummy and has been coaching for a very, very, very long time, when is he going to realize, oh, yeah, we got to run more? And don't bring up last year because last year was different. You had Pacheco out. You had Rice, Hollywood out. You had DeAndre Hopkins learning a scheme mid-season that honestly did not fit him, but the Chiefs were desperate for anyone. Worthy was learning in his rookie campaign. Like the Chiefs had to use Kareem Hunt because that's the guy who had the most familiarity of the offense. And I thought he did great considering he didn't have OTAs or training camp, literally came off the couch. And listen, it worked. Kareem Hunt did well. And now he's had a full off season and the Chiefs I feel like are wasting it. I don't feel bad for athletes often when things go wrong. But if there are two guys you absolutely should feel bad for, it's Tyquan Thornton and Kareem Hunt. Neither one of those guys are making way too much money, but dude, those two guys are working their asses off. Kareem Hunt is a freaking bulldozer. It's impossible to take that guy down. Patrick Mahomes throws an awful pick. Listen, and I'll credit Kingsley Suamataia. He was making the effort to stop him, but who made the stop? Tyquan Thornton. Not only that, he actually made him fumble. Luckily for Denver, it went out of bounds. So you've got those two guys who aren't getting paid much money. I think Tyquan's making 1.1 million and Kareem's 1.5 million with another possible million added as a potential incentive. You got these two guys who deserve the ball way more. And they are willing to fight tooth and nail for this team. I think that's the most frustrating part, is they want to do more and make an impact. And you're not seeing the Chiefs be willing to use them more. And look, I don't have an issue throwing the football on 3rd and 1. Like, if you want to not be predictable and you want to throw off the defense, great. I'm all for not being predictable, but do it with the right formation. That's the other thing, too. Like, listen, what do the Eagles do in short yardage situations? The tush push. Everyone knows it. It is the worst kept secret in all of football. Like, literally any time it's 2nd and short, 3rd and short, 4th and short, every single person that's ever paid attention to the Eagles in their recent couple years, they know the Eagles are going to go for the tush push. Everyone knows it. And Jim Nantz and Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, they said in the Buffalo game, the hunt bunt, which is the nickname for it, is more effective than the tush push. I've yet to see any actual factual evidence of that, but that's according to Jim Nantz. I don't think Jim Nantz would lie. So let's use this a very effective play, because even though it would be obvious if you keep doing it, keep committing to it, if it's not being stopped, so what? Keep doing it. I just wonder, when is Andy Reid going to learn? Mick says 4.9 yards per carry in the first half. At one point, it was almost 7 yards a carry. Same thing in the Buffalo game. Kareem Hunt had almost 7 yards per carry at one point in the first half, but they're not willing to give him the ball. That's crazy. Where do you all see him throwing the ball downfield? He's been throwing sideways for like 5 weeks straight. No, listen, Jason, he's been throwing the ball downfield. And this is the other thing a lot of people don't want to say out loud. Patrick Mahomes has not been connecting on these deep plays. Every once in a while, he'll connect with Tyquan Thornton. And by the way, speaking of Tyquan Thornton, who's got the biggest play of the season for you? It's Tyquan Thornton, 61 yards. Hollywood Brown's had a couple of big ones. He had a 49-yarder. I know Thornton's had a couple of other big plays for the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy's biggest play is 37 yards this year. Rashee Rice's biggest play, and I know he's only played 3 games, I think, 4 games. 4 games now. 29 yards. Rice has been somewhat underwhelming since his return. Rice already has more receptions than Juju Smith-Schuster, but has a less yard per catch average than Juju. Worthy has 27 catches. Juju has 25. Rice has 26. I mean, for the amount that of receptions Rice has had so far in a short amount of time, I think his production should be much higher. Much, much higher. Oman says, how many games do we have to win to get in? In the 7 games remaining, I think you have to go 6-1 minimum. And that one loss, it cannot be to Houston. It cannot be to the Chargers. You absolutely cannot. Honestly, the only loss you can really afford is the Thanksgiving game against Dallas. And I know no Chiefs fan wants to lose on a holiday, a standalone game. But the only loss you can truly, really afford is the non-conference game. The only non-conference game left on your schedule. Because you've already played the rest of the NFC East except for Dallas, plus the other NFC team, the Lions. So that's the only non-conference game left. You cannot lose another AFC game. Kansas City is way behind the 8 ball on the tiebreakers. Because it's not just the fact that they've lost to all 3 wildcard teams, the Bills, the Jags, and the Chargers. Look at some of the other tiebreakers that come in. Like, if the Chiefs and the Chargers, if they split the season series, well, then it's going to come down to division record, conference record, games against common opponent. Well, let me check the wild card. Because I know wild card tiebreakers and division tiebreakers are different. So head to head, obviously, if the Chiefs can beat the Chargers in December, then it's going to come to games played within the conference. They're going to compare that. And that does not favor Kansas City right now. If you look at the standings right now, just in the conference, the Chargers, surprisingly 6-2. The Chiefs, 2-4. So you're going to need to find a way to prevent these ties. And part of that is you basically winning out. And you're going to need either the Chargers or the Jags to almost lose out. Well, Buffalo's not losing out unless they lose Josh Allen, which, you never want injuries to occur. The Chargers, speaking of injuries, I think those offensive line injuries are really starting to take a toll on Justin Herbert. You saw it yesterday against the Jags. And the Jags, on the other hand, they're a very inconsistent football team. Listen, I don't know what to make of the Jaguars. I really, really don't. They're hot and cold. They're up and down. I think your best bet is for the Chargers to go on this downward spiral, which they are right now. You play Houston. Right now, Houston has the 8th position. I don't want to say 8th seed because there is no 8th seed. Houston has the 8th position. Chiefs are 9th. Baltimore is at 10. Houston, KC, and Baltimore all have a 5-5 record. KC is ahead of Baltimore because of the win earlier this year against the Ravens. You play Houston on Sunday Night Football later this year. That basically has massive playoff implications. And I was telling you guys 4 weeks ago, that game might get flexed out of Sunday Night Football because the Texans have been bad this year. Now they have the same record as the Chiefs. So that Sunday Night Football game in December, that has serious playoff implications. Because if you lose that game, not only have you lost to the current 3 wildcard teams, you'll be losing to other teams that are in the hunt. Like, you basically need to pray to whatever football god exists, and you'll really need the refs then. Like, that's how bad it's really going to get. Basically, you got to win out. And if you're going to drop a game, the only one you can truly afford is the Dallas game. And listen, I've said this many times. The Chiefs, they have no one to blame but themselves. They put themselves in this position here. They had a great opportunity to not only keep the wild card race close, but also the division race close. And they blew that. Matthew says this is the best receiving core he's had, and this is that's the other thing too, is all of the, like, Rashee Rice, the way I viewed it is, okay, he got an extra 6 weeks to recover from that knee injury. Not that he needed it, but it was there in a way, and that he would have given the Chiefs a much needed boost mid-season. And it looked like the Chiefs were getting that mid-season boost. But that's not coming into play right now. I told you guys this 3-game stretch, which is about to wrap up this week, I would have loved to see the Chiefs go 2-1. I would have considered that a big win. And they are 0-2 so far. Best you can do is 1-2 or lose all of them. By the way, I've got a question for you guys. Who do you think wins on Sunday? Because I truly do not know. I'll probably end up picking the Chiefs. But boy, that's not a game I'm betting on. Speaking of the betting lines, our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, they have the Chiefs favored against the Colts by 3.5. And I know what a lot of you guys are going to say. The Chiefs are the home team, so they got the 3-point leeway. I still think that is very generous. Now, listen, I don't know if that's the odds makers hoping that, people will throw their money in the wrong direction, but oh boy, a lot of you guys saying Colts. Okay. Crash Tampa says Jags and Chargers are both up and down. Yes, you're right. But if you had to bet, though, Crash Tampa 1, if you had to bet who's going to completely fall, I would put money on the Chargers. They don't have an offensive line. DJ Curtis says, I think he is worried about throwing interceptions before he knew Tyreek would locate the ball. Mahomes just hasn't been good with the deep balls. No, he hasn't. What happens if they lose on Sunday? If they lose on Sunday to the Colts, I don't even have an answer to that. That's pretty bad. It's almost like on election night when, you see one candidate starting to really pull away. It's like, boy, you're really hoping that every other state that's left goes in your favor. And that's very unrealistic. There's your political comparison for the day. A lot of you guys are saying Colts. JJ says I'm not moneylining none of them. Nick Wright said this, that Nick Wright said that the Chiefs are favored in every game remaining this year for them. Whew. Okay. I don't know what goes into these odds makers and how they crunch the numbers, but they're the ones who do it for a living, not me. And by the way, if you want to know Super Bowl odds, before Sunday's loss to Denver, the Chiefs were literally the betting favorites for the Super Bowl, which pissed off a lot of people. I got angry comments for posting. It's like, guys, I'm just a messenger here. I am not the guy who creates the odds. Because I'll tell you right now, I am not betting on the Chiefs to go far at all in the postseason if they make it. If the Chiefs make the playoffs, I would consider that a win at this point. If they can make it to an 8th straight conference championship game, I will have a little mini parade for that. Because if you can win one playoff game this year, I would consider that successful. I know that's far from the standard with Kansas City, but given where they are right now, that would feel like a miracle. But yeah, the Chiefs, they went from first as the betting Super Bowl favorites, tied 5th. Now, I know these things can change by the hour, depending on how many bets are being placed, the news that comes out throughout the day. I know that might have changed a little bit with the injury news to Lane Johnson, but let me just go look real quickly right now for the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Chiefs are still tied for 5th. It goes LA Rams, Eagles, Bills, Colts, and then the Seahawks and the Chiefs are tied at plus 1,000, tied 5th. All right, I'll read a few more questions and then get out of here. Reminder, no Wednesday podcast, no Red Friday Q&A live chat. I am going to be on vacay this week. By the way, if I'm following you on Instagram or Twitter, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, for those of you who live out of the country, if you know a way, not with all the VPN, like I don't want to put, any weird things on my phone. If you know of a website I can use to watch NFL games, let a brother know, because I'm going to need, because I don't know if other countries are going to show Colts Chiefs. As big of a game as that is, I know some countries, they kind of switch games out with like the weirdest their own weird version of a red zone. It's weird. I know in Mexico, they'll show a game on CBS, but every 10 minutes they will change to a different game, regardless of like if they're close to scoring, whatever. It's weird. So let me know. The Jags still have to play the Broncos, and that's Denver. You all need the Jags to lose at most 2, and you all need to win 3 to 4. Oh, I disagree. Kansas City needs to win way more than 3 or 4. Look, I'm not banking on the Jaguars to miss a wild card spot, because they're what, 3 games ahead? Let me check the standings again. Jacksonville 6-4. The Chiefs are 5-5. Okay, so the Jags have 2 games on the Chiefs right now, because you have to consider the tiebreaker. The comment I disagree with you, Christian, is 3 to 4, winning 3 to 4. Yeah, no, Kansas City's got to win more than 3 or 4. You basically have to go 6 or 7 wins in the last 7 weeks. That is not something we've ever had to say in the Mahomes era. Appreciate it, Beskar. Yeah. It's been a really wild year for me. I mean, listen, I keep personal shit personal like 99% of the time. And this year with football season, this has been by far the busiest football season for me. And it's a big thanks to you guys. Listen, I'm not a big fan of, follower count. And listen, it's nice to have a following, but a lot of times people won't invite you to events unless you have a big platform. So, and I try to not take myself seriously in that regard. I know people who do. I know content creators who do make a really big deal of their following. And I think it's a little weird. I don't want to be identified as the number of followers I have, but that has translated to opportunities. So if I did not have the platform I have, it would not be without you guys. So I got to give you guys a big thank you on that. That has led to, a lot of, events that I've been attending that I have not attended in the past. So it's been by far the busiest football. I thought last year was a busy season for me. This year, it's 10 times busier than last year. Start posting the refs' cash apps. Yeah. I mean, get T Swift and all the money she made from the Eras Tour. Ryan, I see what you're commenting. If you don't mind, message me that because I will forget. I will completely forget. You said it would be sad to lose to the Colts, but Denver did lose to the Colts by a last-second field goal. Yeah, but every game's a different game. Listen, before the season, I thought this was a winnable game. I mean, the Colts. Do the Colts still have the best point differential in the NFL? I think they do. Yeah, they still do at plus 115. There was a really big gap between 1 and 2. Oh, by the way, Kansas City is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th on that list at plus 73. Okay, one of them comes from that Raiders game where they blew them out 31-0. I know the Baltimore game was also a blowout, but still to be 5-5 and 6th in point differential. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Cowboys today. I don't think no, the Cowboys are not going to go ahead of the Chiefs. No way. They would have to score 80. So scratch that thought, but I don't know. That gives you, that's got to give you a little glimmer of hope. I know this has been mostly a doom and gloom podcast, but I think that's one thing you can kind of hang your hat on for this one right now. Seth says maybe 5 with gods on our side. Yeah, I mean, if everyone ahead of you just collapses, if the football gods are really behind Patrick Mahomes, yeah, 5 wins could get you in, but I'm not banking on that. 6, I can say there's a 90% chance. Oh man, a lot of you guys are actually commenting. With the links. I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you, man. When you get to where you are going to ask around, they will know how to get the games. Okay. I just don't want to get in trouble asking on social media because that's when your account gets nuked. That you never need. Okay, see, a lot of you guys are commenting with these. That's not what I was looking for. I'll figure it out. Like I said, if I follow any of you on social media or if you're friends with me on Facebook, just DM me. That'll help. That'll definitely help. Dak just fumbled the ball. I'm not watching the game. I'm talking to you guys, so we will see what happens with that game. I mean, that's not a game that has serious implications with the Chiefs, so we'll see. Kimber says the Cowboys are not even close to a decent team. If we don't beat them, it's going to make me cry. Yeah, but Anthony, can you watch Paramount Plus if you're out of the country? Because I don't think you can. Yeah, Max Crosby doing Max Crosby things. No one's shocked by that. SK says there's a slew of issues. Not only that, but typically when he is on the run, good things happen. Yeah, we didn't. That's a good point. We haven't seen Mahomes scramble much lately. And I know that's a big complaint. It's like, oh, Mahomes is leading the team in rushing for this game. That's not ideal, but if that's what it takes right now, go for it. And listen, I know Denver's been physical. I know there's been some talks about Zach Allen and some of the hits he's delivered. Sometimes you just don't want to risk it. Maybe this is one of those where Mahomes was told, hey, don't scramble because that Denver defensive front, they'll attack. They'll attack for sure. I appreciate it, Patricia. Okay, Anthony, I've had bad experience with trying to get Paramount Plus to work outside of the US, even with Wi-Fi, but I'll give it. Okay, Kimber is backing you up on that. Okay, a lot of people are saying Paramount Plus. Oh, okay, maybe that's changed. I want to ask you which teams you are most scared of on the remaining games. All of them. I mean, seriously, like, if you're looking at the Chiefs right now, they haven't beat a team that's currently in position to make the playoffs. Have they not? I don't think they have. I know the Lions were at one point in playoff position, but I mean, I guess the scariest team on your schedule is Indy because they have the best point differential in the league. I would say I'm more fearful of Denver than Indy. At least Denver's at home the next time you've got them. The Chargers, I mean, listen, I think if everyone was healthy, I think the Chargers would have won the AFC West because the Chargers got off to a great start. Their first 3 wins were all against division rivals. And that offensive line was doing Herbert all kinds of favors, but they started losing guys in training camp and during the season. It's just been a tough year for them. So, I mean, I'm looking at the Chargers, the Titans, the Raiders. Those are 3 must-gimme wins. Like, you cannot afford to lose one of those surprise games, which happens to every good team. You got to win out. The Houston game, that is a playoff game on December the 7th. You must win that game. Otherwise, that's another team in the playoff picture that's going to have the tiebreaker against you. I mean, the only 2 major threats I really see on Kansas City's schedule, I would say Denver 1 and Indy 2 to answer your question. I mean, listen, Patrick's made some really questionable decisions this year. Thank you, Doreen. Listen, that was a great play by Lloyd against when the Chiefs played the Jags. But Mahomes is a 3-time Super Bowl MVP and a 2-time league MVP and has all these other great accomplishments. Like, he's got to be better than that. Paramount Plus has revamped recently. Okay. So I guess, maybe it'll be different this time. I will say I'm actually very excited for the UFC to be on Paramount Plus because I am not giving ESPN Plus any more of my money. The fact that you pay $30 a month for their new streaming service and you still don't get UFC pay-per-views, that's ridiculous. For whatever reason, like when I want to watch KU football or KU basketball or anything else on ESPN Plus, it works fine. When I want to watch a UFC pay-per-view, which I don't order anymore through ESPN Plus, it always has connection issues. And I call the ESPN Plus, I'm like, you are refunding me my money. Because I literally got my phone and was filming the TV. I'm like, look, I can't even watch this pay-per-view. But yeah, ESPN Plus. That is like, listen, Disney Plus, like their interface is great. Everything works on Disney Plus, but ESPN Plus, owned by the same company, it's literally the worst streaming service to ever exist. I don't get it. You were able to get YouTube to send you notification for start time. Okay, good. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. So again, a couple of you guys have been asking this lately. So if you guys want notifications, because a lot of you guys are listening from Facebook or X, I don't think they send you notifications when you go live. Well, actually, X does if you turn on the bell. Basically, what you can do is either Instagram, YouTube, or X. You can follow me on any of those. And if you click on the bell, it'll notify you directly to your phone, and you can then choose whichever platform you want to watch from. So just a heads up there. By the way, real quickly, for Sunday's podcast, I will do a recap podcast from a hotel. There will not be the capability to do call-ins. Just a heads up there. Which is unfortunate, but I'll read a lot of comments for that show, so don't worry. Okay. Too many people watching at once. Servers. Oh, whoops, I did not mean to do that. Servers can't handle the volume. I can understand if that was like their first time, but they should be used to that by now. If the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, and with the cap already being negative, what are the Chiefs going to do? Yeah, that's a really good question. Because I'll be honest, I'm not expecting a lot of moves in free agency next year for the Chiefs, or from the Chiefs, I should say. Oh, Facebook sends you a notice, Mario? Okay. Yeah, there must be a setting that I'm just not aware of then, but it is pretty simple on YouTube, Instagram, and X for that notification. So all right. We are caught up on the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hey, I appreciate all of you guys joining me tonight. We will be back tomorrow, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know exactly what time tomorrow's podcast is going to be. I'm going to try to shoot for 8:30 Central Time. Either 8:30 or 9 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. We'll preview the game between the Colts and the Chiefs. And I'll tell you right now, that is going to be a very short podcast because I have a 4 a.m. flight the next day. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs On Podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed any part of this podcast, please share it. Let your friends know about the Chiefs On Podcast. Also, if you missed any part of this live stream, it'll be available shortly, archived on Facebook, YouTube, X, and also on Apple and Spotify. Once again, I am Farzin Vasugian. I will talk to you all tomorrow, breaking down the game between the Chiefs and the Colts. Take care.